Alright, what's going on, guys? So today I am coming to you guys with a video about my opinions on stick shift versus automatic. Okay, so I do have experience with stick and automatic. Right now I'm driving a Mach 1, which is stick shift, and then my daily driver, a Jeep, is actually automatic. So I have opinions on both, and I'm going to share my opinions and my perspective and my experience on both stick shift and automatic. And obviously there's a ton of factors that go into whether or not you want to drive an all-manual car or automatic. But obviously those factors apply to certain people, so I'm going to be giving you guys all the factors that I can think of that might determine which choice you want to make with stick shift or automatic. Alright guys, so the first factor that I think you should really consider when you're either choosing to drive a car like this or choosing to buy a car like this or something like that is, are you more of a casual driver? Like, do you just really want to drive to get from point A to point B? Or do you really enjoy driving? Like, do you love driving? Do you love getting in the car and driving? And obviously this might change if you've been driving for a long time or just started driving, because a lot of new drivers love driving at first and then they start hating it. But yeah, if you like driving in general, then you might enjoy driving stick more, just because it's more of an experience, I would say. Like, I'm not trying to hate on automatic. When you drive stick, you feel a lot more connected to the car. You feel like you're actually doing a lot when you drive the car. But once you get the hang of it, it's not like stressful or anything, but you definitely feel like you're more connected, and it feels like just more of a funner experience, in my opinion, when you're driving stick. But if you're just more of a casual driver that likes getting from point A to point B, then I think automatic would probably be the way to go. The next factor, guys, is a pretty big one, but it's not always huge, but that is, what kind of car do you have? So if you're driving like a freaking, like, I don't know, like a sedan that's really slow or something, it's just like a Volkswagen Passat, like what my mom has. If you're just driving that, you might not want to get a manual, just because it's not like you have to have a fast car or something like that, or a performance car to drive a manual. But basically, if you have like a fast car, like a Mustang, for example, or like a Camaro or a 370Z, you almost always want to get stick, just because it's gonna, like, if you're getting a car to go fast, you're gonna want stick just because you're gonna feel more connected to it, as I said before, and it's just gonna be a funner experience. Whereas if you're just getting a car that's like a casual car from getting from point A to point B, then you might just want an automatic. And yeah, it's just really a lot of the factor is what car you're driving. So yeah, that's the other factor. Alright guys, so another thing a lot of people consider when buying a new car is whether or not which one is faster. So like, if you're a car enthusiast and you want a fast car, some people think that autos are faster, some people think that stick is faster. But honestly, nowadays they're really the same. I mean, like, a while ago, like maybe like in like when this car came out, for example, 2003, the 2003 Mach 1 in automatic was a lot slower than the stick shift one. So it just was because they used to be geared differently. I mean, usually the horsepower and torque ratings were the same, but they would just be geared differently, and automatics were just kind of geared more towards a casual driver. And then Ford knew that stick shift would probably be like more of an enthusiast. So, but nowadays cars like that shift so fast, and they're geared pretty much the same. So really, it's not a determining factor if you want to see how much it will accelerate or its top speed or anything like that, or just performance all around. That automatic and stick are pretty much going to be the same. One thing though is that autos sometimes shift faster, so that can increase like 0 to 60 times or quarter mile times, but it's by like that much, guys. Like, it's barely anything. Like, I think the 2015 Mustang GT's stick version is like, I think it's like 4.6 0 to 60, and then the automatic is like 4.5. Like, it's like a tenth of a second difference. It's really not much. You won't even notice it. But honestly, they can be a little bit faster, automatics, but not by much. Alright guys, so now I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of driving stick versus automatic. So one of the pros I already talked about for stick is that you just feel more connected to the car. We kind of talked about that before, so I won't really cover that. But yeah, you generally feel more connected, like you're more in control of what's happening. Another thing is that it's just flat out funner, in my opinion. I mean, this is obviously a subjective thing, it's a personal opinion. But honestly, I think that driving stick is a lot more fun. Like, especially when you're racing or going fast, or like at the drag strip or anything, you just going along with feeling connected. You just feel like you have control, and you feel like when you like bang a gear, like if I'm in like fourth gear, or no, say I'm in like second gear and I like bang it into third, bang it into fourth, you just feel really good and you feel like happy with yourself. I don't know, it's a weird thing to talk about, but honestly, I think the driving stick is a lot more fun. Another kind of funny one, guys, is that stick gets the girls, okay? I mean, not everyone knows this, or not all girls will know this, but like, if a girl gets in your Mustang and you're in an automatic, no hate on automatics again, but it's always going to be cool to be like, yeah, it's stick shift, or like, they'll start seeing you shifting and they'll be like, whoa, do you drive stick? Like, you know what I mean? Like, girls, not always, but like a lot of people will just think that stick is cooler in general. Another thing that's actually very important when driving stick is another pro of it is that you're more aware. So like this is obviously another personal opinion, but when I drive stick, I feel like I know what's going on with the car and the road around me a lot more. Like for example, you can't text to drive when you're driving stick. Like right here, I'm gonna have to downshift to third, and I couldn't have done that while I was texting. I only have two hands. I gotta steer and I gotta shift. So you really have to be more aware when you're driving stick in regards to the car and to the road. Alright guys, now for in terms of the pros of an automatic. So the first one I have down is it's much more relaxed. As I said before, if you're just a casual driver that's just looking to have a car just so you get from one place to another, then automatic is going to be much better for you just because it's more relaxed. You don't have to worry about shifting, and especially in traffic. You're not going to have to worry about letting the clutch out, giving gas, stopping. Letting the clutch out, giving it gas, stopping. You're not going to have to worry about doing that all the time. It's just going to be much more relaxed, and you don't have to, I mean, you won't feel as connected, so that's not the good thing, but yeah, you're just gonna feel much more relaxed. Not gonna have to worry about anything besides either hitting the brake or the gas or like your turn signal and steering. And that even makes it sound like a lot. It's really not at all an experience and not at all stressful or anything when driving an automatic. Another thing guys is faster shifting. So as I was saying before, it doesn't really make the car that much faster, but if you're like going around the corner and you floor it, it's gonna be much faster than if you were doing that in a stick shift car. Like if I were to shift up to fourth right now, like there. So like it's not, and that wasn't my fastest shift or anything, but like it's definitely a process. You gotta push in the clutch, shift gears, let out the clutch, give it some gas or whatever if you're downshifting at a rev match. Whereas an automatic car is a computer that monitors it and will see that you want to downshift when you floor it or whatever, and it will just boop, done, like done. It's really fast, so faster shifting won't make the car that much faster, but it still can affect it. And then lastly guys, say if you're getting a car like this for your kid or something like that, or anything, or if you're just learning to drive, you're not gonna have to learn how to drive stick shift or to drive automatic. Really all you got to do is know how to give it gas and brake, and that's really all there is to it. Like you don't have to learn to drive an automatic. You really just get in the car and go. Whereas in stick shift, it's definitely a huge process of having to learn how to drive it. And like for example, stick shift took me about 2 to 3 weeks to learn how to drive, whereas automatic, I just got in the car and I knew what I was doing. Alright, for cons now guys, for stick shift, I have traffic. So I talked about that before. You're honestly gonna hate traffic in stick shift. I mean, if you have like a lighter clutch or something, or an easy shifter, then it might not be as big of a deal. But like for example, in this clutch or in this car, it's got a short throw shifter, which is kind of a pain in traffic. I mean, well, not in traffic, but like it's still kind of a pain sometimes. And then also with letting out the clutch, this car's clutch is super stiff. So it's gonna be really a pain because you're gonna have to really force it down there, and it's really gonna suck in traffic. Next two guys is that it's hard to learn and it's never relaxed. So in terms of learning, yeah, as I was saying before, it can take a while to learn it, and then I kind of talked about these before, but it's never relaxed. You just always have to pay attention to what you're doing. You have to know where the car is, what gear you're in, and when to allow the clutch. Like all this stuff you have to think about. And honestly, after a while, it becomes muscle memory and you just do it. But at first, maybe the first couple months, you're always gonna have to know what you're doing. All right, guys. So for cons of an automatic, honestly, if anyone's an enthusiast and they look at you and you're in like a fast car in an automatic, like if you're in like a Lamborghini or a Mustang, I mean, I know those are different cars, but if you're like Lamborghini, Camaro, Mustang, Nissan, a Scion, whatever, if you're an enthusiast car and an enthusiast sees you in that, they're gonna laugh at you because you're in an automatic, because it's something that I wish wasn't like that, but it's just frowned upon to have an automatic car when you're in an enthusiast car, like in a fast performance car and you're in an automatic. People are always gonna make fun of you, or if you make videos, they're gonna laugh at you or comment and be like, wow, why are you in an automatic? That's just how it is. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that's definitely how it is. Enthusiasts will always make fun of you, honestly. They're not make fun of you, but they'll always kind of be ashamed of it or shame on you or whatever if you're in an automatic. And that's not always. Some guys really don't care about it, but a lot of the majority of people will be like that. Another thing that a lot of people actually really don't know is that automatics cost more. So like for example, I keep bringing this up because this is one of my favorite cars and I do research on it all the time. But if I were to get a 2015 Mustang or a 2016 whatever, it's about $1,300 to $1,500 more to get an automatic, which is honestly a lot of money. Like if you want an automatic gearbox, you're gonna have to pay that extra money for it. Whereas in a manual, that's the standard, which a lot of people don't know. Some cars don't even come in manual, so you don't have to pay extra. But most cars that are performance, that have a manual or automatic, the automatic's always going to cost more. All right, the last con for automatic, guys, and this is again my personal opinion, but it's just boring sometimes. Like whether you're in a fast car or not. Like for example, I drive the 2014 Jeep. and it's an automatic, and I'm bored when I drive it. And obviously that's because I have an experience with stick. If you've never driven a stick shift car, an automatic's gonna feel normal to you. But when I go from driving the Mustang all day and then I have to run an errand and go in the Jeep, it's always gonna be boring for me. Or if I'm on a road trip or something like that, driving the Jeep for like 10 hours at a time, it gets so freaking boring for me. Alright, so I thought I'd list a few things, guys, that are actually the same, that are misconceptions or something that some people may think is different, or some people just honestly don't know. And the first one being is fuel economy. So a lot of people think a manual is better or an automatic is better, but honestly, they're pretty much the same. Like, it just depends on how you drive the manual. Like, if you really try to save gas, it might be the tiniest bit better than a manual. But honestly, I were to say if one was better, which I don't really think one is, it would maybe be the automatic, because a lot of guys that drive stick shift are always getting on it and or like flooring and stuff. So honestly, that might affect your fuel economy. I'm trying to make this light here. But honestly, I would say they're just about the same. And then what I talked about before, guys, acceleration and performance are literally the same. Performance is always the same, like handling and stuff. And acceleration, as I said, might be that much different, but it's really not anything that you would notice. So yeah, that is pretty much my video, guys, on stick shift versus automatic. I think that's all I got written down here. I wanted to cover everything for you guys, so I wrote it all down. But hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Hopefully this maybe affected your decision in a positive way, and I helped you decide what you want to get. Or if you were just curious as to which is better in my opinion, then yeah, honestly, I don't know. I would say, guys, that stick shift is better for me, okay? And I'm not going to answer that question because I don't have a perspective of everyone, right? Like, stick shift is going to be different for everyone. If you're a car enthusiast that loves cars and you want to have a really fun driving experience and you have a fast car, then get a stick, that's for sure. But if you're just a casual driver that really doesn't care for cars and just wants to get from one place to another, then an auto is the way to go. So yeah, I hope I'm not repeating any information you guys have already heard, but that is pretty much my opinion on stick shift versus automatic, guys. I hope you did enjoy it, and I will see you guys later. Peace.